The highway stretched endless, a ribbon of asphalt slicing through Oregon's rugged coast, where the Pacific roared like it held secrets older than time. I gripped the wheel of my '78 Ford pickup, the hum of its engine a steady pulse against the silence between me and Riley, my stepson, sitting shotgun. 18 years old, all sharp edges and quiet storms. They hadn't said a word since we left Portland 3 hours ago. "Dad," Riley's voice cracked, barely audible over the wind slipping through the cracked window. They called me that, Dad, though I'd only been married to their mom, Claire, for 2 years. "I need to tell you something." My gut twisted. Riley's hands fidgeted with the frayed hem of their denim jacket, dark curls falling over eyes that held a weight I hadn't noticed before. The road blurred for a second as I stole a glance at them, the late afternoon sun painting their face in gold. Whatever they were about to say, it wasn't small. "Whatever it is, kid," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I'm here." The words felt heavy, like a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. I'd spent my life fixing things. Carburetors, leaky roofs, Claire's broken heart after her first marriage fell apart. But this felt like uncharted territory. Riley exhaled, long and shaky. "I'm not a boy or a girl. I'm non-binary." The confession hung between us, raw and fragile, like a glass ornament teetering on the edge of a shelf. "And I'm scared, Ethan. Scared you'll hate me. Scared Mom won't get it. Scared this town, this world, won't let me be me." I kept my eyes on the road, not because I didn't care, but because I needed a second to process. Non-binary. I'd heard the term, seen it online, but it was distant, academic. Now it was real, sitting in my truck, wearing my stepkid's face. My heart thudded, not from judgment, but from the sudden weight of being trusted with something so big. "Riley," I said, my voice low, "I don't hate you. I could never hate you." I glanced over, catching their eyes wide, searching, like they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. "You're my kid. That's what matters." They nodded, but their shoulders stayed tense, like they didn't quite believe me. The ocean roared to our left, waves crashing against cliffs, and I felt the urge to pull over, to stop the world for a minute so we could sort this out. But we kept driving, the road pulling us forward like it knew we weren't done yet. We were headed to Astoria for a weekend fishing trip, just the two of us. Claire thought it'd be good for bonding, since Riley and I had always been more like polite roommates than family. I wasn't their real dad, and they weren't quick to trust. Their biological father, Greg, had walked out when Riley was 10, leaving behind a kid who learned early that love could be conditional. I wasn't Greg, but I wasn't sure Riley believed that yet. "Does your mom know?" I asked, careful not to push too hard. Riley shook their head. I tried to tell her once, but she got weird, started talking about phases and how I'd figure it out. I didn't want to fight. Their voice cracked again, and I caught the glint of tears. They quickly blinked away. Claire loved Riley fiercely, but she had blind spots. She grew up in a small town where things like gender were black and white, and she clung to that simplicity sometimes. I'd seen her flinch when Riley started wearing looser clothes, cutting their hair in uneven chunks with kitchen scissors. She'd laugh it off, call it teen stuff, but I saw the fear in her eyes, fear of change, of losing the kid she thought she knew. "I'll talk to her," I said, not sure how I'd manage it without starting a fight. "She loves you, Riley. She just needs time to catch up." Riley snorted, a bitter edge to it. "Yeah, good luck with that." The road curved, hugging the coastline, and I spotted a turnout ahead. I pulled over, the truck's tires crunching on gravel. The ocean stretched out before us, endless and wild, the kind of view that made you feel small but not alone. I turned off the engine, letting the silence settle. "Why now?" I asked, turning to face them. "Why tell me here, In the middle of nowhere, Riley's fingers traced the seam of their jeans, their voice barely above a whisper. Because you listen. Even when I'm a jerk, you don't give up. And I needed to know if you'd still want me around. The words hit like a punch. I leaned back, staring at the horizon, trying to find the right thing to say. I wasn't good with feelings, never had been. Growing up in Boise, my dad taught me to fix cars, not hearts. But Riley wasn't a carburetor. They were a person, my person, and they were waiting for me to prove I wasn't Greg. Riley, I said, my voice rough, you're stuck with me, no matter what. You could tell me you're from Mars, and I'd still be here, hauling you to fishing trips and eating your terrible campfire eggs. They laughed, a small, shaky sound, and it felt like a victory. Then, slowly, their hands slid across the seat, fingers brushing mine. I froze not because it was wrong, but because it was the first time Riley had reached for me. I curled my fingers around theirs, holding on like I could anchor them to this moment, to this truck, to me. The next morning, we woke to the smell of salt and pine, camped out in a clearing near Cannon Beach. Riley was already up, poking at the fire with a stick, their face softer in the dawn light. I watched them from the tailgate, coffee mug in hand, wondering how long they'd been carrying this secret. It made sense now, their quiet moods, the way they dodge questions about school, friends, the future. I chalked it up to teenage angst, but it was more. It was survival. You sleep okay? I asked, joining them by the fire. They shrugged. Better than I thought. First time I've slept without, worrying. I nodded, sipping my coffee. You want to talk about it? What it means for you? Riley hesitated, then nodded. It's like I've always felt like I didn't fit. Not as a boy, not as a girl. Like I was stuck in the middle and everyone wanted me to pick a side. At school, kids call me freak because I don't act like they expect. Even the teachers look at me funny when I correct them on pronouns. My jaw tightened. They give you a hard time? Some do. There's this one guy, Tyler, captain of the soccer team. He's got it out for me. Keeps saying I'm confused. Like it's his job to fix me. Riley's voice was steady, but their eyes betrayed the hurt. I just want to be me, without everyone making it a problem. I wanted to drive back to Portland, find this Tyler kid, and have a word. But that wasn't what Riley needed. You're not confused, I said firmly. You're Riley. And anyone who can't handle that doesn't deserve your time. They smiled, faint but real, and tossed another stick into the fire. You make it sound so easy. It's not, I admitted. But you're not alone. You've got me and we'll figure out how to get your mom on board. Maybe even the school. Riley's smile faded. Mom's gonna freak. She's already weird about me not wanting to wear dresses to family stuff. I sighed, thinking of Claire's stubborn streak. She'd come around, I told myself, but it wouldn't be smooth. She loves you, I said again, more to convince myself than Riley. She's just gotta learn how to show it right. We spent the day fishing, the tension easing with every cast into the surf. Riley laughed when I tripped over a rock, and I teased them about their terrible bait-tying skills. For a few hours, it was just us, the ocean, and the kind of peace you can't find in a city. But I knew the real world was waiting, and Riley's truth wasn't something we could leave on this beach. Back in Portland, I broached the subject with Claire over dinner. Riley was at a friend's house, giving me a chance to test the waters. The kitchen smelled of roasted chicken, and Claire was humming as she set the table, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun. Claire, I started, keeping my tone neutral. Riley told me something on the trip, about who they are. She froze, her hand hovering over a plate. What do you mean, who they are? I took a breath. They're non-binary. It means they don't identify as a boy or a girl. They've been figuring this out for a while, and they're scared to tell you. Her face tightened. a mix of confusion and defensiveness. Non-binary? Ethan, that's not a thing. They're just confused, going through a phase. You know how kids are. They're not confused, I said, sharper than I meant. They're Riley, and they need us to support them, not dismiss them. Claire set the plate down hard, the clink echoing in the quiet kitchen. Support them? Ethan, I love Riley, but this is too much. What's next? They'll want to change their name, their body? I can't keep up with this. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Claire, they're still your kid. They're not asking you to understand everything overnight. They just need to know you're in their corner. She shook her head, eyes glistening. I don't know if I can do that. Not yet. The conversation ended there, with Claire retreating to the bedroom and me left staring at the cooling chicken. I knew she'd need time, but Riley didn't have the luxury of waiting. They were already fighting a world that didn't always make room for them. The next week was a storm. Riley came out to Claire, and it went about as well as I'd feared. She didn't yell, but her silence was worse. Cold, distant. Like she was mourning a version of Riley that never existed. Riley started spending more time at the community center, where they found a queer youth group. It was a lifeline, but it didn't erase the hurt of their mom's rejection. At school, things got uglier. Tyler and his friends escalated their taunts, cornering Riley in the cafeteria one day. I only found out because Riley came home with a bruise on their arm, claiming they'd bumped into a locker. I didn't buy it, but they begged me not to get involved. It'll make it worse, they said, their voice small. I felt helpless, caught between wanting to protect Riley and respecting their need to fight their own battles. But when I saw Tyler's smug face at a school event, I couldn't stay quiet. I pulled him aside, keeping my voice low but firm. You mess with Riley again, you'll deal with me. Understood. He nodded, pale, but I knew it wasn't over. Kids like Tyler didn't back down easy, and Riley was still a target. Months later, things started to shift. Claire went to a support group for parents, dragged there by a coworker whose kid was trans. She came back quieter, thoughtful, asking me questions about pronouns and what Riley needed. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Riley noticed, too, their guarded smiles returning when Claire used they without stumbling. One evening, as spring turned to summer, Riley and I took another drive, this time to the Columbia River Gorge. The truck rumbled along, the air warm with the promise of change. Riley was different now, still sharp-edged, but lighter, like they'd set down a weight they'd carried too long. Thanks, Dad, they said out of nowhere, for not giving up. I glanced at them, my throat tight. Never will, kid. Their hand found mine again, and this time I didn't hesitate. I held on, the road stretching ahead, carrying us toward a future we'd build together. One truth, 1 mile, 1 moment at a time.